I want to show you something that I use on my touring bike that people are often interested in when they see it for the first time. So when I stop the bike, obviously the front wheel's kind of heavy with all these bags on it. The first thing that I do nowadays is to apply the front brake with a parking brake like that. And all this is just a piece of inner tube tied off with a knot, and it's super easy to just pop it on like that. And now, although the front wheel will still turn, it won't roll. So I've made this before many times from a piece of mountain bike inner tube. You cut a 9-inch, maybe 20 centimeter length by about an inch wide, and just tie it off with a double overhand knot. And that'll last for a few months. Either it'll eventually tear, any kind of cuts in the side of it will lead to it failing, or you'll lose it. So yeah, it's replaceable. This actually, the best one I've made so far of all time, is actually from a piece of racing inner tube. So my friend in San Francisco had a few inner tubes beyond repair. I cut a section out of that. The good thing about that is, because it's the whole inner tube, it's a section, it's not a strip, much more tear resistant. So that's the first thing. Very useful. Very useful to do, even just to take a picture, to do anything, take a drink while straddling the bike like this. Means that the bike's not going to fall from underneath you and become unmanageable and cause some kind of embarrassing accident, which is all too common. But then the second part, you might be wondering, what on earth is this stick on the back? Well, this is my side stand, my stick stand. That goes under the pannier rack, and together with the parking brake, now the bike is a stable platform. I can use the back of the bike to, I don't know, make a sandwich, do whatever I have to do. But yeah, it won't work without the parking brake, because the front wheel will turn and then roll and the thing will fall over. And obviously the bike doesn't stand up without this. So this is actually just a piece of lath that I found at the side of the road in Alaska. I used to say that every country gets a new stick. Normally I just cut a stick either from a tree or a piece of deadfall with a fork in it. And the easiest way to make that is to use a saw, which is one of the features on the Leatherman tool that I carry. Now that one, it's always the last one, isn't it? It's that one. So yeah, for this one there was already a pointy end to it. I just cut it to the right length and then cut a little V in it there. Obviously if you're cutting a stick from a branch, then you need to make sure it's the right length. And it'll take a couple of tries maybe to get the right length for you. You don't want it to be so short that you can't stand the bike up on uneven surfaces, and if it's too long, of course, then it's going to be too bendy or it's going to stick out too much. So it's important to get the stick at the right length, just so that it supports the bike. Also, I actually like the fact that I can slide this just under the rear pannier and have it sticking out like that as a kind of outrigger. And I've just tied on some pieces of tat that I found. It creates a bit of movement and something bright, and vehicles really can see that a bit better. I should add, this is not really my main way of being visible. I have a high-vis vest in here when I'm on the highway. Sometimes I just put it on the back there as well, if it's too hot to wear. But it's an extra way of being visible. I have in the past actually mounted another LED light on the end of that for entering a city in darkness, into Sydney that was, I think, as well as an LED on the back of the bike itself. All helps. But yeah, the main point of this is just to give me a freestanding bike without the need for a kickstand, which would potentially deform the iron frame there. So yeah, two things that people often comment on, often marvel at. They always ask, is this stick for defending myself against dogs or something, when they see it on the back of the bike like that, and then I surprise them by doing this, voila, and the inner tube parking brake. You could use a piece of Velcro or a bungee cord or something else as well, I suppose. I don't claim to have invented this. I was fortunate somebody showed me this particular trick to stop the handlebar, sort of to stop the front wheel from rolling in the early days of my trip. And somebody else had a stick stand that they wedged under their seat, and I thought that doesn't really need to be so long. The frame's a better place, and then you combine that with the parking brake, and you've got this bomber platform now to use to do other jobs when you're standing around. Basically, this is the same idea as the commercially available click stand, which is a kind of telescopic stand that fits under the frame or the rear carrier of the bike. Does the same thing. This is free and replaceable, and you lose it, it doesn't matter, and also actually works as a kind of outrigger to increase your visibility when you're riding on a road with traffic. So yeah, please comment, let me know what you think. If you have any other modifications like that you think I might appreciate. But yeah, feel free to share.